So your homework is tonight anyway is to determine the limiting reactant from your lab. And everybody's math, or every lab group's math, is going to be different. You can't copy somebody else's, okay? You have to do your own work. All right, this is one of your reactants, and this is one of your reactants, and one of those reactants is the limiting reactant. Okay? And you're going to figure out which one is the limiting reactant. So, we're going to do a mass-to-mass calculation. All right? You're going to choose one of the two reactants. You're going to choose one of the two reactants. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Okay? You're going to choose it. And then you're going to start your mass-to-mass calculation with the one you choose. I don't care whether you choose potassium iodide or lead-2 nitrate. Doesn't matter. Choose one. Here's my left hand, here's my right hand. Choose one. Okay? Just choose one. Okay? Now in a mass-to-mass calculation, you start with the mass of a reactant. Okay? In this case, we're going to go from one reactant to the other. But whichever one you choose, that's the one you start with. You are going to calculate the molar mass to build a conversion unit and find the number of moles of that same reactant you started with. And from that balanced equation you should already have, you're going to figure out the molar ratio. What, here? Mm-hmm. So using your molar ratio, you'll find the moles of the other reactant. Whichever one you chose, this is the other one. And then finally, you'll calculate the molar mass of that, build a conversion unit, and find the mass of that other reactant. The same thing you did for homework, only you're using your mass, the materials in your lab to do this one. You did a mass-to-mass homework problem. This is a mass-to-mass problem here. In general, this is the same format you use for any mass-to-mass calculation. You start with the mass of one chemical, using molar mass, change it to moles, using a molar ratio, change it to the other species, and then use the molar mass of that other species to find the mass. Same process we've been practicing, same process you can use tonight, okay? Any questions about what this is supposed to be? And this isn't the end of it. This is where you're going to start. Okay? Anybody have any questions about mass to mass?
Is that what we've been doing?
This is what we've been doing. Mm-hmm. Been working on this for 3 days now.
All that multi-step stuff.
Yeah. All right. Now, once you find the mass of the other reactant, then you're ready to figure out what the limiting reactant is. That's our goal. And here's how you're going to find determine which one of these is your limiting reactant. You're going to compare your answer with the amount of the other reactant that you measured. So your answer is what you calculated over here. The mass of the other reactant, your answer. Okay? This is your other reactant here, and whichever one of these you chose to start with, the other chemical is the other reactant. Okay? If you chose to start with potassium iodide, lead 2 nitrate is the other reactant. If you chose to start your mass to mass with the mass of lead 2 nitrate, then potassium iodide is the other reactant. Okay? So you can compare what you calculate here with the amount of that same species that you actually measured. You're going to compare the amount you calculated here with the mass you actually measured out in the lab. Okay? If the calculated amount, this amount right here, is greater than the measured amount, then that species is the limiting reactant. And if not, the reactant you chose, okay, is the limiting reactant. So for this homework, you're going to identify the limiting reactant for your lab group.
It's greater than a measured amount than that other reactant.
Yeah, see, I've got this up here labeled as other reactant. That's what you're calculating to.
So that one's bigger than the first one.
If what you calculate here is greater than whatever the other reactant is up here. So this species is going to match whatever you're going to compare up here. All right? You're going to compare the amount you calculate with the amount of that same species that you actually measured out in the lab. Now, statistically speaking, half of you will find that the potassium iodide is your limiting reactant, and the other half will find that the lead nitrate is the limiting reactant. So you can't just assume because your friend in another lab group got your answer, and you got the right answer. It doesn't work that way. Okay? But I need to see all of your work. Any questions about what you're doing for homework?